guys, it's 7:45 a.m. I'm just pulling out of our road. My GPS says it's 102 miles from my house, so off to Jamestown we go. I finished my last audiobook yesterday. I'm going to start a new one this morning, perfect for the trip. It's called Becoming Clementine, and it's all about World War II lady fighter pilots. So let's see how this goes. All right, guys, we've got to make a pit stop. Where at? Dun, dun, dun. Gotta stop for some morning fuel. Haters will say it's coffee. The real ones know it's vanilla chai latte. I got it iced. That first sip feeling. 10 minutes park here and eat my breakfast, and then back on the road we go. We're gonna have to get on Interstate 95, which is a lot of fun, so stay tuned. All right, you guys. Here we are. All right, guys, so this is the Jamestown Settlement Museum. This is not the original settlement site, but this is the museum that's going to give us lots and lots of information about when those English settlers arrived in 1607. Alright guys, so here we are in the Paspahegh town. Someone tell me what that is. You made your very own. Let's go walk around. Alright guys, so we're gonna go inside the Yahaican. Ooh, there's deer pelts everywhere. And this one's pretty large, so multiple people would be staying in here, obviously. We've got our fire pit in the center, our smoke hole in the ceiling, and this one has obviously more than one door, so that the visitors can come in and see everything. Some deer pelts. And we're gonna exit over here. There's some fishing nets, fish traps. All right, here we go. All right, guys, so here's another view of the Yahaicans. And right out here would be like their garden. But of course, this is gonna be like a garden in fall. It's not gonna be fresh planted. And up there, someone would sit up there and keep watch over the garden. All right, so this is the yucca plant. This would be used, you would take the leaves and kind of strip it down. And it's kind of got like these hair-like structures in there, and they would use that to make cordage so that they could use it to form parts and pieces to tie their Yahaicans together. And all sorts of other stuff, of course. Alright guys, so here's a good view of their canoes that they would carve. Obviously it looks like an entire tree, because it is. So they have to fell the tree, lob off the ends, and then start burning this and carving it with clamshells to make it for a place to sit. Alright, and usually, like Tegan was saying, they're flat on the bottom so that they don't roll away while they're trying to work on them. Alright guys, this would be like the communal cook area. Notice all the Yahaicans in the background, so this is where they're going to prepare most of their meals. They're going to eat as a tribe all together. So there you go. There's some pottery down in there. Some gourds and pumpkins. That's a piece of pottery. It's pointed at the end. Whoa, look at my finger. That way they could take the point and mash it down into the ash. So it'd be kind of like a slow cooker idea. Think about your mom or dad using a slow cooker. That's the whole concept of that piece of pottery. Then the surface, of course, to slowly smoke their food above the fire that would normally be right there. All right, guys, so we've walked down to the docks. This is Our Lady Susan Constant. Remember, she is the largest of the three, and right now the ships are winterized, meaning the sails are all put away. But we're gonna get a closer look here in a second. We're going aboard the Susan Constant.
I know. It looks like something someone would use. Like...
In front of you is where the bosun and his men would be. Those are some of the guys that would be, you know, the prime sail hands and working the rigging and everything.
I'm gonna back up so they can actually see what we're doing here. Alright, so check it out. We're in port aboard the Susan Constant. There is our lovely friend, the Godspeed, and the Discovery is actually dry docked right now, so we're not going to get to see the Discovery. She is put away for the winter. But yes, that's the Godspeed. That's the one that I had dinner on 2 years ago. It's a perfect day out today. Wish you guys were here. And like I was saying, the sails are all put away for the winter. They've winterized it. And then in a little bit, we're gonna go up there to the Jamestown Fort. So unfortunately, because of COVID, we cannot go below. But right here would be the tween deck that the passengers rode on. And then down below, you can see some barrels and stuff down there. That's gonna be their storage for everything on their journey over here. So remember, about 74 men rode on the Susan Constant under the lead of Captain Christopher Newport. All right, guys, we're walking to the fort. We're gonna hopefully catch a demonstration for you guys. All right, guys, so this would be the church, or the building that would represent the size of the church. Remember, it's the largest building in Jamestown. And then over there would be an example of wattle and daub. It's kind of like a basket weaving. We talked about that. So they would weave these pieces together and then pack it with mud and make these walls that are kind of clay.
See them people standing there? You prime the weapon by pouring a portion of the powder into the pan. The pan is a pocket on the back of the musket that has a vent leading into the back of the barrel. You close the pan, cast about, charge the weapon by pouring the remaining powder down the barrel. Normally, this is when I'd reach into my pouch and take out a bullet to load. The state of Virginia would prefer that we did not use real bullets in their museum. So instead of the bullet, I have loaded the cartridge. Use a scouring stick or rammer to tamp it down. You want the powder and the bullet to be seated tightly against the back of the barrel, so that now the powder in the pan is connected by the vent to the powder behind the bullet. Take one end of the match, blow it off, and attach it to the serpentine. The serpentine is a mechanical arm that works with the trigger. So to fire the weapon, I will open the pan to expose the powder, pull the trigger. The action of the trigger will move the serpentine so it lowers the hot end of the match into the pan, setting off the powder in the pan, which sets off the powder behind the bullet. So once again, if you do not like loud noises, now is the time to cover your ears. Hey, attention all, peace! Good. Fire!
Photogenic people, so you got Russell and you got Brian. You call him Brian.
Yeah.
You got all of it. And you find it.
All right, let's go into the storehouse. Barrels. This is where they're storing all of their supplies and provisions. Everything would be in here. What's that in the ceiling? That is dried tobacco. All right, everyone, I wrapped up my tour at the museum. Now we're headed to Jamestown Island. This is the original settlement site where archaeologists have figured out that the original Jamestown fort was. So I'm gonna have to, well, I already drove across the bridge. I'll have to get a video of that on the way out. We're gonna have to walk across a footbridge so we can go over to the island. Stay tuned. All right, here we go. Gonna go pay for my ticket. Go over to the Jamestown Island. Starting my little walk over to the island. Make a mental note of the trees. All right. And then this is exactly the path that we would take if you guys were with me. I'm pretending that you are with me, even though I'm talking way quieter than I would be if you were with me. But here we go on the bridge. Footpath, or this bridge, is because that is really, really swampy down there. Here's like a nice example of a swamp. Get out of me, swamp. Yeah, so if you're looking at this, sometimes we've seen some critters down below, but I don't know about you, but I don't want to drink that water. Gross. Why did they think this was fresh drinking water? And yes, of course, just looking at it, yeah, I would get really, really sick if I drank this right now. Yuck. Alright guys, we're coming up on the monument at Jamestown. We're gonna walk up and see what it says. From the monument you can see the James River, and then over there is the church. That's where we're headed to next. Look who I found here. Who could it be? Any guesses? So this is the good stuff, you guys. This is where the scientists are working hard to dig up new artifacts. This is an archaeological dig site. All of these green bags are sandbags just to kind of hold everything in place. And this one is obviously covered up. But this is where they're going to find a lot of those artifacts telling us all about the story of Jamestown through items left behind by those who were here. And right over there is the church. Let's go. Going to the church. Going to the church. Whoa, who is that? Who is that? We're gonna have to see. Let's go to the church first though. Here's the church tower. Here we go. Alright, so clearly this is another archaeological site inside the church. They've really done a good job here showing the archaeology. So this is like a nice map showing where they've dug up different stuff. Here's a video that's super speed of archaeological digs going on. But this is a great example to show that they're actually doing this all the time. So this might be the original floor of the church. So that's why history, whoa, there's a pebbly stuff going. This is why history is so much fun, you guys, because even though it's in the past, like, we're still learning so much about it. And guys, I have the whole church to myself. This is awesome. All right, let's go in. Let's go in. Okay, here's some glass windows you can stand on. Oh, it always makes me so nervous. I don't know why. But that shows like the original foundation. Here's the present day wall, but the original foundation. We've got our church pews. So think about what they may have used this building for. So not just for worshiping God, for all sorts of other stuff. Okay, you've got your benches in here. All right, so this lovely plaque is talking all about Captain Edward Maria Wingfield, or Master Wingfield. We've talked about him a little bit. He is the first president at Jamestown. He is quickly demoted, you should say, kicked out of being president. So that's a plaque honoring him. Here's a plaque honoring Thomas Savage. So we've not gotten a chance to talk about him, but I'll read the plaque to you. It says, hostage to Powhatan in 1608, his loyalty and fearlessness endeared him to the great king who treated him as his son, while he rendered invaluable and to the colony as interpreter, greatly beloved by Devon. Yeah. Anyway, story of Thomas Savage is he was taken by the Powhatans and lived with them, so he learned a lot of their ways. So that's in summary. Walking out of the church now, and we're going to see some palisade walls that are going to really give us an idea as to the size of the fort. But we know I told you guys about how you know, if it was the same exact size and placement as it was in 1607, the one corner of it is in the middle of the James River. So here's the James River. Here's some skeleton of a building. And we're going to talk about later how Jamestown actually burned down. It burned down twice, the first time by accident, and then later it was burned down on purpose by somebody who was causing a rebellion, and we'll talk about that later. And also you'll learn about that in 5th grade. So here we have the skeleton of a building. There's the church that I just came out of. Now let's go down and see who that guy is. We're going to walk. John, she's right. All right, we're gonna walk to the James River. No one fall in. All right, guys, so this is prime location for a colony. So I'm gonna turn around so you can see where the palisade wall would be. There's our lovely church. Here's that gentleman that I'm going to show you in just a second. So this is a prime location. They believe that this was fresh water. We know that it's not. It's actually something called a brackish water, but I'm not going to go down and taste test it for you, so don't worry. The water level was a lot higher this last year, so you can see kind of where the water would have come up, and that's why it's a slant. So depending on how much rainfall, the water level will rise. But this is a great location. You can really see out into the James River, and you're going to be able to see if anybody's coming by ship. So remember that the English are very worried about the Spanish coming to attack by sea. So this area right here is going to be a great spot so that they can see people coming and be ready. Who this guy is that I've been teasing you about. Yes, it's none other than Captain John Smith. There he is. He's looking out into the James River. I'm gonna walk around here. He's got the best view. Every single day he's got the nicest view. All right, so notice what it says here on this column. Captain John Smith, Governor of Virginia in 1608. So obviously we know he arrives to Jamestown in chains. He literally has to start from the bottom as a prisoner and work his way up to becoming governor of Virginia in 1608. He is given charge. He's got leadership skills and they know it. Great job, Captain John Smith, you stinker. So this is a model of, a very good model actually, of the Jamestown fort that they have out here for us. And we know it's not a perfect triangle. It's not at all a perfect triangle, so pretty cool. It's a good view. What a walk through the grass here to these black crosses that I love to point out every single year. There's actually more, it seems like, this year. So when archaeologists are digging, they're looking for artifacts, but also they come across bones. And when we're talking about the starting time of 1609 until 1610, a lot of people died, like I told you. They're not going to bury them in individual graves. All right, they're not going to have the energy for that. Remember, they don't have a lot of food. The water's not good. They're starving, which is why it's called the starving time. So they're going to dig these deep graves. And when people die, which many are dying by the day, they're going to bury them on top of each other. Okay, so for us as archaeologists, if we are kind of digging graves or digging and looking for things in those graves, we're probably going to find a lot of bones that belong to a lot of different people. So the job is to really kind of figure out who owns what. But I always like to point out these crosses because this is probably a good spot where they buried a lot of people right outside the fort. All right, here's a lovely well that I'm going to show you down. Oh my god, I'm holding on tight to my phone. Woo! And that sign says when wells were no longer usable, meaning no more water was coming up, they would just use it as a trash hole, basically. All right, so here is the shrine for Reverend Hunt. If you're listening to Blood on the River, to answer your question, yes, Reverend Hunt was a real person. And we listened to it in Blood on the River where they, immediately when they get to Jamestown, they start constructing kind of a rudimentary or really kind of crummy, crummy church, so that they can start worshiping. It's literally like a piece of a sail in the trees, and some benches so that they can pray at. But it's really kind of the first church here at Jamestown. And yes, it's in memory of Reverend Hunt. And there he is right here. I'm gonna walk up here. There he is. You can see the sail between the trees, and they're praying. So it's kind of cool. Even though we know Blood on the River is a historical fiction book, there's still a lot of truth to be told with it. So Reverend Hunt is one of those truths. So keep him in your mind. So I'm walking back towards the fort, back towards the church, so that I can go ahead and wrap up my trip.
Well, it's been a lot filled in here 400 years.
So long, Jamestown Island, until next year. I'm gonna leave and go find some lunch, but first, before I do, headed to the gift shop. Actually, never been in this gift shop before. Coming down here 5 times now, never have come into the gift shop, so let's see if I can find some cool stuff. All right, got my t-shirt and a magnet, and I'm headed to find some food. All right, guys, so first of all, let me slow down. Second of all, I wanted to show you what makes Jamestown an island. So you've got water here, water over there. Okay, I'm heading out of Jamestown, so it's behind me. But this bridge right here that we just went over makes Jamestown an island. So it's not that much. It's still technically kind of as close to being a peninsula, but because that water goes right through there, it is technically an island. All right, so I hope you guys had fun with me today. Oh, look, there's the ships over there. That's at the museum. We were over there earlier. Very cool. So anyway, you guys, I hope you had fun with me today. I hope you guys get a chance to come down here and see everything in person. I'm gonna head on home. I've got family coming for Thanksgiving. So I will see you. Hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving.